Education. Next, Tan Sri Haji Adam Ismail, Governor Central Bank of Malaysia. Then, we have Datuk Shazarizul Haikal, CEO of Malaysian Institute of Accountant MIA. Next to him, Professor Dr. Ahmad Muadz, as a Senior Internal Auditor of Big Four firms. And for our last guest today is Datuk Amirul Ajwad, Minister of Finance. As we know, in accounting, ethics are important moral principles that govern a person's behavior or the conducting of activities. So, we start with Tan Sri Haji Adam that will explain to us regarding professional competence and UCAT. Tan Sri, may I know what is principal professional competence and UCAT?
The principle of professional competence and UCAT imposes the following obligation of professional accountant: to maintain professional knowledge and skill at level required to ensure the clients or employee receive competent professional service, and to act diligently in accordance with applicable technical and professional standard when providing professional service. Professional competence may be divided into two phases. First is attainment of professional competence, and second is maintenance of professional competence.
You said about maintenance of professional competence. Can you explain detail about that?
The maintenance of professional competence requires a continuing awareness and understanding of relevant technical, professional, and business development. Continuing professional development develops and maintains the capabilities that enable a profession accountant to perform competently within the professional environment.
Next, I would like to ask Datuk Amirul Ajwad regarding integrity. What does integrity mean for you, Datuk?
Integrity requires honesty and objectivity in all professional matters. Integrity implies not merely honesty, but fair dealings and truthfulness. Our work must be uncorrupted by self-interest and not be influenced by the interests of other party. Integrity comes before profits. We are not afraid to say no for all the right reasons. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Datuk. Before we take a break, let's take a look on some thread of ethics in accounting, which is self-interest and self-review.
This is Mr. Idam. He is an accountant at Panda Food Corporation. One day, when he is doing his work, the manager of Panda Food Corporation, Mr. Ahmad, give him some huge amount of money. As the return, Mr. Idam has been asked to manipulate the accounting information to ensure that the company pays less tax. Mr. Idam then accepts the money even though he knows that it is unethical behavior. This situation shows how a financial or other interest will inappropriately influence the professional accountant judgment or behavior, called self-interest trap. Self-review threat occur when a previous judgment needs to be re-evaluated by an accountant responsible for the judgment. Let's see how self-review threat happened to Mr. Amirul. Mr. Amirul is an external auditor of Nadzirah Sendirian Mohd. Mr. Amirul provides non-audit services such as tax planning and preparation, business consulting, and system integration to Nadzirah Sendirian Mohd. This creates a self-review threat as because the service provided may affect transactions recorded in the company's financial statement, on which Mr. Amirul must then express an opinion on it.
Professional behavior is one of fundamental elements of ethics in accounting. So, Prof. Muadz, as a senior internal auditor of Big Four firms, can you give a brief explanation of what professional behavior actually means?
Thank you, Ms. Rana. Okay, first of all, the principle of professional behavior imposes an obligation on all professional accountants to comply with relevant laws and regulations and avoid any action that the professional accountants knows or should know may discredit the professional.
So, Prof, how accountant professional behavior can affect the decision-making process in the company?
The accounting professional that has these virtues and qualities must be at the level of position in corporate governance where the decisions are made. The good financial performance of the company depends largely on the direction that the accountant made of financial information. This professional must create a favorable environment for the decision taken based on the information presented. This will contribute to get the common goals of the organization.
Okay, well, that was a clear explanation. Thank you very much, Prof. Muadz, for your clarification and thoughtful view regarding professional behavior. As we know that the principle of confidentiality is not only to keep information confidential, but also to take all reasonable steps to preserve confidentiality because some client or employer may regard the mere fact of their relationship with a professional accountant as being confidential. So, can Dato' Ain explain more about confidentiality in accounting?
Thank you for the question, Ms. Rana. The principle of confidentiality imposes an obligation on professional accountant to refrain from two things. The first one is avoid disclosing outside the firm any confidential information acquired as a result of professional and business relationship without proper and specific authority, unless there is a legal or professional right or duty to disclose those information. And the second thing is the professional accountant must avoid using confidential information acquired to their professional advantage or the advantage of third party.
Thank you, Dato' Ain. Now, I understand more about confidentiality. Before we go further in discussion, let's see a video regarding intonation and familiarity threat.
Mr. Muadz is an accountant in Kurus Corporation Berhad. One day, Mr. Adam, the chief executive officer of the company, asked him to manipulate certain important financial information to show a good performance and stability of the company. But Mr. Muadz refused to do it as he is known that it is an unethical behavior. Mr. Adam then gets mad and threatened to terminate Mr. Muadz from the company if he does not do the task given. Mr. Muadz feels bad as he is forced to do the manipulation. This is Miss Nadzirah, the Chief Finance Officer of Kita Maju Berhad, while Mr. Haikal is an accountant in that particular company. Nadzirah and Mr. Haikal are best friends since they were in the secondary school. One day, Miss Nadzirah asked for Mr. Haikal help to manipulate the company's financial statement as to reduce the payment of tax to the government. As they are very close, Miss Nadzirah begging for Mr. Haikal's sympathy to help her. As her best friend, Mr. Haikal agreed to help Miss Nadzirah.
So for our last guest, Datuk Shazarizul Haikal, I would like to ask regarding about objectivity. Datuk, what does objectivity mean for you and can you explain about it?
Objectivity is an obligation on all professional accountants not to compromise their professional or business judgment because of bias, conflict of interest or the undue influence of others.
Thank you, Datuk Haikal. Before end our discussion, let's see a video about advocacy.
Advocacy threat may occur when an accountant promotes a position or opinion to the point where subsequent objectivity may be compromised. The Chief Executive Officer of Bahaya Book Sendirian Berhad, Mr. Ajwad, calls Mr. Shazarizul, the accountant of the company, to meet him at a park. At the meeting, Mr. Ajwad promotes shares and higher position to Mr. Shazarizul if he successfully manipulate the company's financial statement look goods in order to attract more investors. That is how an advocacy threat can be happen to an accountant.
To sum up about today's discussion, ethics are important not only in business but in all aspects of life because it is an essential part of the foundation on which of civilized society is built. A business or society that lack of ethical principle is bound to fail sooner or later. Thank you.
Nice